It's time to focus on seniors with Helping Seniors TV. The television show designed to make you aware of senior issues and needs, as well as to acquaint you with the resources available to help you age in place and with dignity. Now, here's your host, Joe Steckler.
I'm Joe Steckler, and welcome to Helping Seniors, the television arm of Helping Seniors of Brevard County. Our show is designed to provide you with your own information on how to develop your own aging and care plans. Our topic today is in-home caregiving, and joining me is Jennifer Helin of Seniors, Helping Seniors, and Jaquie Esterline of Levin Home Care. Welcome, Jennifer.
Thank you.
Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you.
I think viewing audience, based on my own personal experience and watching what has happened with having people elevated into unnecessary elements of care for the 25 years I've been working with seniors, I want you to pay particular attention and listen to how Jennifer and Jackie will help you understand there are many things that can happen to keep people in the home before it's necessary to even move them out of the home. And having established that, we'll then talk about how both of these ladies and their organization can still help people in assisted living and in nursing homes. So it's really a matter, I think, Jennifer and Jackie, of our viewing audience and other people understanding what we really mean by elements of care. And in order to help do that, Jennifer, first, you have probably, with Seniors Helping Seniors, the most basic elements of care that can be brought to the caregiving situation.
We do. We're the first step in care.
And what do you do?
We do in-home care. It's considered homemaker companion, but what we do is help people go to the grocery store. Transportation to a doctor's appointment will help with housekeeping, meals. We'll change sheets, all of those kind of everyday tasks that a senior might need a little bit of help with. We don't do any medical. We don't do any hands-on. So we are kind of that first step into care. When people start needing a little bit of care, that's where we come in.
Okay. So if we look at a stepladder and we say the stepladder, the elements of care, you're on
We're the
rung
first rung. Yes.
You're rung one.
Yes.
You're rung one, but you're also higher up too.
Correct.
How do you differ from what Jennifer does, Jackie?
Well, what we're going to do, basically, we're going to do the hands-on part. We're going to go in because sometimes as things progress, folks lose the ability to take their own shower safely. They lose the ability to get dressed, to put on their TED hose, to do a variety of things that actually take someone touching them, physical contact, helping to prevent them from falling, not just making sure they're using their walker, but when they go to fall, being able to be there to catch them and touch them. And again, that's the big component, is that we're going to be able to do hands-on. We're going to be able to help facilitate the really physical needs of a person. Now, we're not into the nursing component where we're going to help with, IVs or anything medical in that capacity, but we're going to help them with those other basic needs that can keep them in their home longer.
There are a lot of people that do not understand one of the most difficult things for a person that has dementia to do is to take a shower. That is one of the most horrifying experiences a person with dementia experiences. Mm-hmm. They simply don't want to take a shower. And I could tell story after story of my own experience with things that have happened on people taking showers. But in trying to assist people with showers, Jackie, do you find that there is a reticence more on the part of women or men to having somebody assist them with bathing? And I have a reason for asking you that.
I tend to think the men are a little more difficult than what the women are, actually. I'm not sure what the reason is for that, but it at times it's the men.
Well, let me tell you why it might be.
Uh-oh.
Okay. I had a stroke, and I went down in Sea Pines and my rehab. And I had a couple of very nice looking nurses. And one of those nurses was one of the ones that was going to give me a shower. And it had to be in a wheelchair.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, Mr. Steckler, she said, don't worry, I'm married. I said, but you're not married to me. So she started laughing, and I couldn't help but laugh myself. But it sort of broke the tension. And of course, in reality, you do your own personal washing yourself. But I think it's the element of understanding, to get that person to realize, brain-lengthwise, that person is there to help you and keep you safe.
Right. And it's a task that they know how to perform to keep them safe. And I think, and that's the most important thing when you have somebody that's doing such personal care for you, that this is a task, this is something being done for your well-being. And when folks are refusing baths sometimes and showers, sometimes it's, and you're talking about dementia, they really think they just took a shower. And so that's, the person has to know how to negotiate, well, maybe you did take a shower yesterday and you took a shower an hour ago, but you know what, this happened, so we need to do it again. Yeah. That's the difficult one. I just took one.
I know. We had that happen. In fact, when we built our first dementia center, we put a shower in there, a wheelchair type shower, so that if somebody needed a bath, we could wheel them in their wheelchair, give them a shower, dry them off, and wheel them back out, let them dry. But there are more ways that we can do things better, and I think that's what your two types of home care bring. And I think it's important for the viewing audience to understand how the services that you two provide drive down the cost of care, and you gave me an example one time of how you went in and you helped a lady for 2 hours in the morning, and then later it became it became obvious to you that she needed more care. You did the same thing and putting her to bed. So you, in effect, got the lady up, put her to bed, and tell a little bit about that, and then based on what she's saying, figure out how the same situation applies to you, and you tell a similar story. But go with your story first, Jennifer.
When we first started, we were just 2 hours in the morning. We would go make sure she had her breakfast, give her a medication reminder, just kind of clean up the house. It was a lot more social than anything, but we made sure she ate and she had a good start to her morning. And then as her dementia progressed, she was no longer able to cook. She was not safe around her stove. The stove was unplugged, and we would come in and we would cook dinner at night for her using other implements. And we made sure that she had a good meal at night and that she was locked up tight and safe before we left for the evening.
But you did those types as long as you knew that she could sort of operate in her own home safely.
Right.
That's a key word, safety. But that cost of care, what was that on a monthly basis?
Less than $1,000.
Pardon?
Less than $1,000.
Yeah. An assisted living facility now is roughly $6,000, $5,000.
Depending on the facility, it could be anywhere from maybe $2,500 up to $6,000.
Yeah, and then the $6,000 is going to go
very low end or $2,500. Cadillacs are $6,000. So you have to decide what you want. You want the Model T or the Model A. Now, and that, thinking what Jennifer said that she did, what does Levin Home Care, what other tools do you bring to manage that person to keep her in a home? You can do the same thing that Jennifer did.
We can do the same thing, and we're going to add to it that, we're going to help get them dressed in the morning, because sometimes, again, as the dementia increases, it's not just as simple as saying, put your clothing on, put your shirt on, put whatever, your shoes on. It actually is a task of, buttoning the shirts and helping them put one leg in the pants or, the other leg in the pants and getting things going. So, and the nice part, is that person that's their friend, the companion, is not sometimes it gets to be, a little bit of a threatening thing when people are touching. So it's good to keep that companion relationship. And then when you're switching over, now things have, we can partner. We'll come in and do the hands-on. We'll come in there and we'll put the clothing on.
Right. But both of you are helping that client understand what it is that they truly need. And and then what are some of the tricks that you all can do to help people as they age and as they develop forms of different types of dementia? How can you help them understand what it is they need? How do you do that? Is there any kind of a secret?
Well, I think everybody is different, and your approach has to be tailored to that particular person's needs, and that family's needs and their schedules. There are times when we have gone in, the family said, please, if my mom knows that we are paying for this, she'll refuse it. Please come in as my friend. And we hate to fib to the person with dementia, but it's a way to be able to get the help in that she needs so that she can stay in her home. We've got one lady who, I'm not sure how this happened, but she thinks we're the welcome wagon. And the daughter said, just go with it. Don't. She loves you guys coming in. We play dominoes with her. We make sure she has dinner. She really enjoys it. So we just go with it.
And sometimes you get situations where things are going wonderfully for a period of time, and all of a sudden something clicks. So the organization needs to understand, and the families need to understand. I know our organizations, hers and mine, if things are changing and personalities are changing, then we change our caregiver end. We try to accommodate those changes. Even working, for as long as I have in this industry, you can have people that are together in situations for years, and then all of a sudden with a change in their dementia, whatever, they don't like that person anymore. And there's nothing you're going to do to change it. They don't like that person anymore. So our organizations, I know we work really hard to accommodate those changes.
What you're saying, and I think is an element we never really talk about, is that effective caregiving from both angles enables that person to stay in the home longer. And then if the caregiver, if the organization providing the caregiving is very attentive, they can change persons to accommodate a changing personality.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the ways that I keep saying that we can use these types of care to drive down the overall cost of care. Many people probably watching this show today will say, what in the world are the types of costs that you're talking about? In your case, I mean, you're roughly what are your basic charges, Jennifer? It's a fair question.
Pretty much any of the in-home care is $16 an hour, and we have a 2-hour minimum. We'll do as much as a 24/7, but we've got a 2-hour minimum. So we try to be very flexible so we can meet the family's needs. That's what we needed when our grandmother needed help. We needed somebody in the morning just to make sure she had a good breakfast, make sure she got her day off to a good start. Then we were there every afternoon. But at that time, there wasn't anyone doing that. So when we started, it was really important for us to stay flexible so that we could meet people's needs.
Yeah. Well, think about this just a second. I don't know if you all are still in the market for babysitters or anything like that, but I understand babysitters right now run $10, $12 an hour for a night. And let's say if a couple goes out and they got a babysitter comes in for 4 hours, you're talking $40 to watch a baby. Here we are. We've got, for $32, you go in and help a senior person, get them cleaned up, get them dressed, get them fed, get them situated for the day, pick up the house a little bit. And we're talking, if you're spending $32 in the morning, $32 at night, $64 a day, 5 days a week, $300 times for $1,200. You're in their own home safely. The family can watch them a little bit on the weekend, help on the weekend. So you're doing the care there for $1,200 as opposed to $4,000, say, in a decent assisted living facility, and the person is happy they're where they want to be.
And it's important for the families to take a break. I mean, it's wonderful when the folks can stay home and be with family, but families always need to understand that it's real important for them to take a break too and get out. And again, just the same as the babysitter situation when you have kids. I mean, parents always need to take a break. And it's the same as when you're a caregiver.
We've been homing in on what it costs to take care of the parent. How about the cost or the relief, the respite that the primary caregiver gets by you all with your 2 levels of care? What can you help our viewing audience understand about what it is you do to help them take some of that stress off the caregiving situation?
And that is so important. I was thinking along the same line Jackie was. A lot of times we see where the primary caregiver ends up sick because they're always taking care of their loved one. They don't go to their own doctor's appointments. They stop taking care of themselves, and they're the ones that end up sick. So it's really important that they take that break, go to their doctor's appointments, have a little bit of time out so that they can continue to be an effective caregiver. And we can take a lot of that stress from them.
Yeah. And the other really important part of that is when something happens to that caregiver, if they haven't been taking care of themselves, and there's this crisis that happens, then you have this person that always had a caregiver. They're kind of in the lurch of whoever can step in to handle things. And sometimes people make not so good drastic decisions in that crisis situation. So, if the son's taking care of mom, the son gets sick and goes to the hospital, and there's really no backup plan, you get all kinds of people stepping in and there's no backup plan. Whereas if you're taking the breaks and you're bringing people in to be introduced to someone into the home, you've got a backup plan. You have somebody you can call to say, this is what happened. I can come in to help. And those are much better situations than the ones where, the son goes to the hospital and then the police are there and they decide they're going to help and they think they're doing the right thing. And just things get messed up. They get all tangled. And
well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the safety aspects that Seniors Helping Seniors and Levin Home Care. How about some of the safety aspects you bring to protecting the patient and at the same time protecting the families? What are some of the things that you observe, or how important are the powers of observation from both of your organizations in helping the family understand when it's time for that person to go to a different element of care? How do you all do that?
The different element of care, and also there's many other things that we're watching for as we're there in the home with the person, and I think it's magnified because we have so many families that are so spread apart. Mom and dad retired to Florida, but the kids are in California, Texas, New York, Connecticut. They're not here, so they don't have eyes on the ground. So if there is a crisis situation, they need a local person here to be able to step in, and hopefully it's someone who has already got a relationship with that person, so it's not a big deal. Oh, I know them, that's my caregiver. They're just here a little bit longer. We're also looking for fraud. We're looking for our seniors are so at risk of the telephone calls. I mean, we've talked about it before. We get them at home ourselves. So a senior picking up the phone, people coming to knock on the door. Hey, your roof looks like it needs to be replaced. I can do that for you. I'm doing the roof down the street. There are so many ways that a person could be taken advantage of. So we're always keeping that in the background as well.
You all do the same type of thing?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's scary, the situations you run into. In fact, we just came into one where the gentleman had been taken advantage of by, I'll be nice and say a young lady who came into the home and brought her business with her into the home, which was not a very good business. She was arrested outside of the home where she was taking advantage of this gentleman. But she was arrested outside for some things she had done that they caught her for. But when it came back to all the horrible things she had done to this person, this elderly gentleman, nothing was ever done to press charges against her for those things. And he now has, out of money, car gone, the whole bit. But coming into it, I found these things out, and I was like, well, he does have access to a victims fund. Well, finding out that he never reported, the crime was never reported that happened to him, he's not eligible for help to get him back on his feet and get the right appropriate care. So now they are making a report to the police department, but had it not been another set of eyes,
there.
Nothing would have happened, and she would have gotten away. And again, probably spent very little time in jail, gone back and done it to somebody else. And those are the things that frustrate me the most.
I think that one of our people we work with was pointing out, and I'm not sure if it was one of you or not, but so many people go to the vestibule of their church and they take a look at all the names there that people say they want to come in and help. There's just because a person has placed their name in a church vestibule saying they're going to help somebody, we need more of a vetting process than that. And
Absolutely.
That's why I feel very strongly about going through agencies, because you have to provide checks and you have insurance. I think, unless the law has changed, if you send somebody into a home to take care of somebody, your company is ultimately responsible. Am I correct?
Ours carry their own insurance, but they are insured. They're licensed, bonded, and insured.
Right. But all your people that you go in are bonded.
Yes, and they've got a federal background check. And that's state licensing. We're required to do that. So they've been checked through all 50 states. So at least that they're an honest person. Right. That doesn't mean it's the end all be all with an agency, but it's at least another level of protection that you have, so that you're not letting someone in. We had a gentleman down in the Barefoot Bay area. This my guy that helps me, he's just wonderful. Well, all of a sudden he had a really large contractor's blower, one of those backpack blowers that you would, blow your lawn off with, but it was a huge, very professional looking one. This gentleman walks with a cane. He's not well. Not something that he would really be capable of using. Why do you have that? Oh, well, my helper needed that.
Your what?
My helper needed that. We really started looking into it. We just looked at the Brevard County website, pulled up this gentleman's history, and showed it to our client and said, "This is your helper." He had been taking money. He had been really taking advantage of this gentleman. And when he saw the rap sheet basically on this gentleman, he realized that he was not out to help him.
Well, I think the moral of the story is that we need to be very careful about who we invite into our homes. And when we talk about seniors helping seniors, I know how you all started. I don't know as much about the background for Levin Home Care, but I know you, and I know how vocal you are about situations that are not right. And that's why I feel very comfortable about having these two ladies on the show, folks, because what they're saying to you and what you should be taking from this show today is that you need to pay particular attention, especially if you're a long-range caregiver. You need to pay attention to what your detached family is receiving, what they're doing, and who is taking care of them, because it doesn't take much to get somebody else's name on a checkbook. Once somebody else's name is on a checkbook, they can move everything in your account out of there. All it takes is a name on the account. And it's sad to say, but I'm sure both of you have encountered that, haven't you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
And trying to rectify it is most likely not going to happen because the law simply doesn't work retroactively.
Actually, there's been some changes in the law, and I think they took effect in October of last year, because Laura Moody, who's with the State Attorney General's office here, She saw that as a problem, that, people were coming in, putting their names on the checkbook, wiping people out. And she really was an advocate to getting some changes to the law that now makes it possible if it's reported. And again, what frustrates me is these things don't get reported. But now when people report these types of crimes, they can go back and they can look at what that money is being spent on. So if that person that put their name on the checkbook has started taking money out to buy a new car for themselves or a trip to Paris or whatever, then they can be prosecuted. So
we need to talk about more of this.
Absolutely.
Because that's something that's extremely good. Maybe you will write an article for us for our Senior Scene magazine for our newsletter, okay?
Okay.
Very good.
All right, that's a deal
And
there.
encourage people to report it.
Encourage
a lot of people don't.
No, they don't.
It's extremely important. If the people that are being victimized, if they don't bring it to the attention of people that can do something about it, we don't correct any of these situations.
And they go to the next house and they do it again.
Jennifer, I'm going to give you the last word. Now, you talked a lot. No. What's the last piece of advice you'd like our viewing audience to take away today?
Especially with what we've talked about here today, I would like people to really remember to have a plan. It's okay to have help in the house. A lot of people are resistant, but it is okay to have help in the house. Have that plan, especially if your kids are all across the country. Have an emergency plan in place. Plan ahead. Be okay with somebody coming in. Get a relationship started so that if you do have a problem, you're not making quick decisions.
Okay. I want to thank you both for watching, for being here with me today, and I want to thank you, viewer, for watching today's episode of Helping Seniors.